Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Moises Pantoja, here to talk about our visualization for our final project. All right, so for our final project, we focus on the different lifestyles from people in developed nations versus those in developing ones. To do this, one of the first visualizations we created was examining the relationship between income per capita versus the life expectancy of individuals. To do so, we went to the World Bank, where they have an absolute immense amount of data for every single nation dating back to the 1950s. We were required to turn the CSV file into a JSON file in order to reduce the size and keep it below 15 megabytes. And if you examine the actual JSON file, it might seem like a jumble of numbers because it is, but we have the format of the name of the nation, the region, the income that is actually an array for each year, and then the population as well with the life expectancy and the income category. After we import it into the observable format, it is still a JSON file at the end of the day, but we do have to do a mapping of the data from the same name, region, income, population, and the life expectancy with the year that does dictate the actual mapping we are looking for that is declared up here with the scrubber. Because we are talking on a per capita basis, it is important to take into consideration the population size. So we do have the bubble format. And if you notice, we start off with the Western world just dominating to the right, United States, Europe, etc. And then India and China to the left, most notably. But as you move on, you can see that it still has a situation where the high income nations experience life expectancy all above 74, whereas the low income nations experience life expectancy all below 64. And right in the middle, you do see a large gap ranging from about 50 to almost 80. Because of that, it is important to take into consideration the nation's policies as its priorities. Considering China, with our next visualization, if you notice, they have an extremely low population growth, lower than the United States. Part of that is the one-child policy that they famously had, along with pretty much capitalism that took over in the past the 80s for China, leading to its high growth and just general improvement for the individual within China.
Okay, so this is a visual displaying the Human Development Index. No wrangling had to be done as the data was straightforward to the visualization. A map was decided because it gives the viewer a better way to explore through each country. A graph that included over 200 countries wouldn't be a smart idea. So the Human Development Index is a measure of the development of a country using these three dimensions: life expectancy, education, and standard of living. The values are from 0 to 100. The values are also color-coded and are explained using the legend at the bottom. If you want to see the exact value, you can hover over the country and a pop-up will appear showing the value. As you can see from the map, the more developed countries are in the continents of North and South America and Europe, while the less developed ones are in Africa and the southern parts of Asia. As stated previously in the first visualization, the countries with the higher income per capita were the ones with a high life expectancy. Those countries would then have a high development index, as you can see from this map. So the last component of the Human Development Index is levels of education. This visual compares the enrollment rate of low-income countries to high-income countries. A stacked bar chart was chosen. It has the enrollment rates for primary school, which is ages 4 to 12, secondary, which is 12 to 7, and tertiary, which is 18 plus. What you would normally think of as elementary, middle/high school, and upper levels of education, such as a trade school or university. You can see that the enrollment rate for primary schools in all income levels are similar. But once we get to the higher levels, the gap widens as the lower income levels start to have low enrollment, while the higher levels have higher enrollment. This ties in with the previous visual, as the development states that higher levels of education will give you a higher index. And it would make sense that the countries with higher income would have more educated individuals. So overall, you can see that countries with longer life expectancy, higher standards of living, have attained higher levels of education and will have scored well in the Human Development Index.